One is condemned to be dominated by one's sentience, one's capacity for pain and pleasure. It is these forces that give everything else its meaning. Pain and pleasure dominate the sentient existence. Pain and pleasure define the sentient experience. In truth, there are two gods. They call one pain, and the other pleasure. None are above these forces. They can deny their dominance. They will continue to feel pain and despise it. They will continue to feel pleasure and desire it. Even the ascetics pursue pleasure, the high pleasures of meaning, purpose, satisfaction, and fulfillment. The ascetic is as devoted to the pursuit of pleasure as any hedonist. A high pleasure is a pleasure nonetheless. Here lies a reality that is recognized everywhere. The greatest of blunders is the notion that this concept is somehow utilitarian. The dominance of these forces was recognized long before Bentham put pen to paper. One need only look at the religions. Upon what do they found their claims? An afterlife, a good one and a bad one, a heaven and a hell, a pain and a pleasure. To evade pain and pursue pleasure, these are the foundational drives, the ultimate axioms. They inform everything else. They are the basis of reason. A detractor is heard speaking. If the pursuit of pleasure and evasion of pain is paramount, what then of self-sacrifice? Self-sacrifice occurs out of a sense of duty. Duty is associated with high pleasures of meaning, purpose, fulfillment, and satisfaction. One engages in self-sacrifice out of loyalty to a sense of duty, which one is ultimately loyal to due to associated pleasures. It is from the capacity for pain and pleasure that moralism was born. Moralism emerged as a means of interacting with such forces within a deeply social setting. And so were born our fundamental maxims. The promotion of respect for sentience is in the interest of one who can suffer. The propagation of empathy and compassion is in the interest of one who can suffer. A humane society is in the interest of one who can suffer. The undermining of respect for sentience is not in the interest of one who can suffer. The corrosion of empathy and compassion is not in the interest of one who can suffer. The normalization of cruelty and brutality is not in the interest of one who can suffer. Our fundamental maxim: a society that is opposed to suffering is in the interest of one who can suffer. These maxims are reflected in the actions of the master moralist, the one who pursues their sentient interests wisely. Certainly some allege that such maxims are crude and simplistic. Some allege that this is a weakness. They overlook that such maxims are crude and simplistic not by accident, but by design. Moral rules and guidelines must be rigid. When one allows for exceptions, every immorality becomes the exception. The exception is the death of the rule. Soon all moral rules have collapsed with hideous consequences. Moral rules must be strong and rigid. If they are not, they cannot serve their purpose. Every immorality will become the exception. These maxims are overwhelmingly valuable, and so is justified the creation of a rigid rule. A strong moral rule that promotes overwhelmingly beneficial conduct. A few convenient exceptions are worth nothing if they come at the expense of undermining and destroying immensely valuable moral rules. And so is born the rigid rule. Some would declare this an undue simplification of self-interest. Again, It is that way by design. Overcomplicate your interest, and you will lose sight of it. Soon you will be undermining it. Confusion, disorientation, and uncertainty are not in our interest. Simple guidelines that allow for an easy, effective pursuit of self-interest are. We are precedent-based creatures. We look to the actions of others to guide our own actions. Our actions write the guidelines that will inform the behavior of others. This simple social reality has significant moral implications. One must be careful what precedent one creates, reinforces, or undermines. A wrong against one is a wrong against all. When one undermines respect for sentience, corrodes empathy and compassion, and normalizes cruelty and brutality, all who can suffer are the victim. And so too does moral conduct further the well-being of all who can suffer. When one promotes respect for sentience, propagates empathy and compassion, creates a humane society, all who can suffer benefit from such things. Some have falsely asserted that moral claims are somehow all equal. This is a falsity. All moral claims exist to serve the basis of reason. All moral claims exist to serve our capacity for pain and pleasure. Some moral claims do that better than others. On those grounds, they are superior moral claims. A tool that better performs its function is a better tool. This is a fundamental truth. A moral claim is a claim about how one ought to behave. Every moral claim is characterized by implicit philosophic superiority, implied philosophical authority. This is fundamental to the nature of the moral claim. A moral claim that better justifies this implicit philosophic superiority is a better moral claim. It is a better embodiment of what a moral claim is. It is superior. That which is firmly founded on the fundamental and the universal is itself fundamental and universal. And what is more fundamental and universal than sentience? Here is found a basis for a moral system that applies to all who can suffer. There exist two values that are fundamental and universal: like of pleasure and dislike of pain. A moral claim that is firmly founded upon these values is itself fundamental and universal. Here is found our egoistic justification of altruism. We must concern ourselves with the well-being of others, because doing so promotes respect for sentience, propagates empathy and compassion, constructs a society that is opposed to suffering, and establishes a precedent that benefits us all. In doing so, furthering our own fundamental interests as sentient beings. Morality is a revolt against an amoral world. Philosophy is a revolt against a dogmatic world. Moral philosophy is a revolt against both the amoral and the dogmatic. Let this revolt be victorious.